Speaking of God bumps, I have the pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Rasheryl McCreary. Rasheryl has a very diverse background. She is the CEO of Dow Leadership Development Incorporated, where she has trained and coached thousands of leaders in organizations like American Express, P&G, HBO, PayPal, and Harvard Business School. She was also a professional theater actress and producer for several years. This past year, she served on the board of trustees for the for Spiritual Living, and she was recently appointed to the board of the Arizona Foundation for Women. But most importantly, Rasheryl has been a religious science practitioner since 1993. And when she was trained and licensed by Michael Bernard Beckwith at the Agape International Center, she is currently in ministerial school at the Holmes Institute and will graduate this June. Oh, so excited and proud. Here, please help me welcome Rasheral McCreary.
Oh, Jeannie, thank you so much for that beautiful introduction and for reminding me I graduate in 6 weeks, which makes me laugh and shaking my boots all at the same time. And Kirsten, thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful song. I am still trying to recover from from that. And Mary Jane, thank you for the beautiful reading and the beautiful prayer. You guys just teed me up and set me up so perfectly to allow God to flow. And I'm so grateful, so grateful. So today we are talking about rising up stronger, right? And that song, the chorus, I rise up over and over and over again, right? Over and over again. Brene Brown says we are rising stronger. And this is exactly what is happening and unfolding for all of us individually and for CLF collectively. And so today I'll be speaking to each of us as individuals, but also speaking to the collective that is Creative Living Fellowship. So when we think about rising, right, rising, elevating, um, and we think, I was thinking about this in preparing my talk. I was thinking about, it came to me, aerodynamics, like how do planes stay in the air, how do planes take off and stay in the air. And so, one of the things about flight, and there's these sort of four principles of aerodynamics. And for those of you who are engineers or scientists out there, just bear with me as I, go through my metaphor here. But the laws of aerodynamics are four of them, and basic ones. And so they are thrust, drag, lift, and weight. Okay. So imagine this. Thrust is what makes the plane go forward, right? So if you imagine an arrow going forward, drag is what makes the plane creates weight against the plane going forward, so it drags it sort of backwards, right? Lift is what keeps the plane aloft in the sky, and weight is gravity, which pulls it back down to earth, right? So already you can see that there are these forces at play that are oppositional, right? And the key is that in order for that plane to stay aloft, to stay in the air, you have to have greater thrust and greater lift than you have drag and you have weight, right? So basically what that means is you have to get above the resistance, right? You have to be moving faster than the resistance, or stronger than the resistance, or more energy, more weight, more emphasis on going forward and up than there is on going backwards and down. That's how you rise. That's how the plane stays in the air. And so if we think about those that really basic, there, of course there's more nuances and more complexity than I'm allowing for here, but that's the basics. And if we take that basic framework and we apply it to ourselves, right, and we apply it to our community, and we think about, where am I allowing drag and weight to pull me down? right? Where am I allowing that to have more power, more, letting that resistance have more power than the forces that would keep me aloft? Like, where's that happening, right? And what do I do to make sure that I am in the space and place of lift, of thrust and lift, forward and up, right? So let's talk about how that unfolds and how that happens. And, as I'm talking, again, I'm talking about us as individuals because it absolutely impacts the community. Jung said, the value of a community depends on the spiritual and moral stature of the individuals composing it, right? The whole depends on the individuals that make it up. And so we have to tend to our individual selves, and we have to be whole. We have to recognize our wholeness, our perfection, our completeness, in order for the collective to be manifesting that. And so, as I go through sort of some things I want you to think about, keep in mind this is for you personally, but it also has everything to do with CLF rising up stronger. So, the first thing that I want you to be thinking about so that you can be in the space of having more thrust and lift. Um, and it's so interesting. I had a little typo when I was sort of mapping out my talk and outlining it, and I kept writing trust and lift instead of thrust and lift. And so let's go with that, right? So thrust, trust, and lift, right? Here's what you need to do to have more of that. So the first thing is that you have to take radical responsibility for your life and for where things are, right? So if right now you're in a situation where resistance is getting the best of you, we've been through this year of upheaval and change and disruption and crazy big change fast, all the stuff is happening, right? Maybe in this year of self-reflection, we've seen some things and learned some things about ourselves or seen some things about our lives that we would like to see out pictured differently. Whatever's been coming up, it is important to have radical responsibility. So let me tell you what I mean by that. So radical responsibility is I'm borrowing that particular term from a book called The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, and I think it's the first commitment, um, and it's this idea of taking 100% responsibility for whatever is happening in your life, right? And we know this from Science of Mind, for whatever is in your life. Now, responsibility doesn't mean blame. So you're not blaming yourself, shooting other people, blaming other people, but just taking responsibility for whatever is happening in your life. And this is what it is. It is what it is. So whatever it is that you're seeing in your life, in your community, take 100% responsibility for it. Not putting the blame or the burden on some external factor, right? And sometimes that can show up where we feel like, the pandemic is happening to us and the lockdown's happening to us and all this stuff is happening to us. It's just happening. It's not happening to us, right? There's just something that's happening. Selling the building isn't something that, like it happened to us. It's just something that happened. It was something that needed to happen and happen. Right. So finding ways to just take radical responsibility means, here's what's going on. Here's what's happening. And it's not something that's happening to me. It is something that is happening. And the thing that's really important to remember is it's more important how you respond to what's happening than what actually happened, right? It's more important how you respond to what's happening because your response is setting in motion the law of cause and effect, right? We know how this works. Your response, whether it's negative thinking, whether it's carping and criticizing, whether it's blaming and blaming people or blaming yourself, you're then setting in motion the law of cause and effect. There was the effect of that kind of thinking, which can look like dis-ease or disharmony or disgrace or depression or any of these other things, right? So 100% or radical responsibility is incredibly important, and it is the very first step to just wipe the slate clean and neutralize however you're feeling about what you're seeing, looking at it honestly, because that is a place of power. That is the place where it's like, oh, okay, the pandemic's not happening to me, it's just happening, right? So now I'm in a place of power where I can now make a decision about how I'm going to act, how I'm going to respond, what I'm going to do, right? Versus if it's something happening to me, I'm in reactive state. that thing has power over me, and control over me, because I am now in a reactive state. So that is sort of the first thing, is taking that responsibility, and that moves us to a second thing I want you to think about, this that's related, that's tangentially related, and that is, and this is also in the 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And this is based on work by Michael Beckwith, by my teacher many years ago, where he talks about the four kingdoms of consciousness, right? And so the other thing that has to happen is that you've got to move out of kingdom one. Kingdom one is saying, I am a victim of these external forces that are shaping my life, right? These external things are doing things to me, and I can't do this. I can't rise because of this. I can't do this because of this. We can't do this because of that, right? That is being in kingdom one. And it also can be very sophisticated, very seductive, and things like, if I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough this to do this. I can't do this, right? That is another form of, of being in kingdom one, that victim state. And there is no power in that, because you've moved the center of gravity, the center of life. You've turned, you're in an unnatural situation where you put the power that is within us outside into the world, or into work, or into people, or other things, right? The very first part of the what we believe, for Science of Mind, is we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty, one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. This one, this almighty, this indestructible, this self-existent cause manifests itself in and through all creation, meaning me, meaning you, meaning all of us, right? Ernest Holmes says, no greater good can come to you than to know that the power already within you is the power to live, the power to create, not only to create for yourself, but to create for others. The power to do good, the power to heal, the power to prosper. I'll add the power to rise. It is already within us, right? That power is already within us. It's indestructible. It is absolute. And so the more we get out of that place where these things, I mean, my goodness, how can a person external to you have more power than the living spirit almighty that is within you, right? How can this, whatever's going on, have more power than the one indestructible self-existent cause? How is that possible? That is not possible, right? And so that is sort of the second thing, and these are not necessarily a sequential steps, but this is sort of the second pillar of how do I rise, right? How do I rise? I have to power up. I have to remember who I am. I am made in the image and likeness and after pure spirit. I am a divine, a unique emanation of the divine. I am made of this indestructible, absolute, self-existent cause. That is the truth of my beingness. So there is nothing outside of that that really has power over me, right? That really has power over me. And so it's really a matter of coming into that which we already know exists. And it can be really compelling and really seductive. The world is very seductive and very compelling in convincing us that we don't have that power. The world is structured so that we don't know that we have that power. And there's so many things that keep us, keep us engaged, and keep us fixated, and keep the chemicals, those high chemicals going, from emotional responses and angry responses and victimization, right? We have whole structures. We have multi-billion dollar industries built on broadcasting victimization, broadcasting powerlessness, right? And that is very compelling, and it feeds our minds. It programs us to think that we're not powerful because our power is out there. And really what we're looking at are big manifestations of fear, right? Authoritarianism, that's just fear. Yes, it can be harmful, but it's fear. It's not power. It's not true power, right? These things that we see happening in the world, it's fear breaking out. It's fear manifesting. And yes, it is dangerous. It can take you out. I'm not saying it's not, but it's not real power. It's fear. It's just solid fear, right? Power is what God is in and through and as us, that was planted in us from the beginning, that we are born from. That is true power. And so we have to get aligned with what is real and begin disengaging from the hypnotic, mesmeric, drugging inducing, zombie making stuff that's happening in the world. Right? I frequently, I look at trends of what's happening, like what's popular. And I'm like, why is all this zombie? Like all of a sudden it's like zombies everywhere, right? Zombies, and vampires. And I'm like, what is this? Like, why is this so prevalent? And it's like, oh, now you look around and it's like, oh yeah, a lot of people are in a zombie state, right? Hypnotized by false beliefs and false ideas and just marching along in their beliefs. They don't look like they're living dead, right? Yet, right? They don't look like the living dead, but people are just like hypnotized and acting in that hypnotic state. Just that's what we're being programmed to do. And so it's so important to get to our true power and our true nature, that only well, not only, but that religious science offers, that science of mind offers, that this teaching offers us, right? That no greater good can come to us than to know the power that's already within us. And spirit can only do for you what it can do through you. So if you're mesmerized and hypnotized by the things of the world, I heard or saw somewhere, someone call, now they're showing like all these videos of police shootings and videos of people shooting and all these violent videos that people are catching on camera. And on the one hand, it's good, it's being captured because it's really catalyzing change. On the other hand, it becomes, I think I saw somebody refer to this as oppression porn, right? It becomes like people get a charge from looking at these images, and then they're addicted, right? And then we just create more and more and more of that. It's no accident that there's all these shootings happening now, right? We're consuming this stuff. Our energy is going towards it. We're watching it. We're reacting to it. Even though our reaction is negative, it's still energy. And what do we know? We know where your energy flows, that magnifies, that grows. So we are feeding it, right? We're feeding this by consuming this stuff. And it makes us forget who we truly are. It moves us into a place where we cannot rise up over and over again. We cannot have the resilience because we're locked into a situation where we are disempowered. So, the question is, so how do we remember? And we have the tools and we know how to get powered up. We know how to do this. We know that when we do our spiritual practices, when we go into meditation, when we sit in the presence, recognizing the presence, remembering the presence, when we sit in the presence of that which is greater than us, that indestructible, inexhaustible, all existent cause, when we visit that, when we sit with that, when we are in that presence, when we remember that, then we're powered up. Right. And we have to spend time there versus spending a whole bunch of time in these other very exciting things. Right. When we do our spiritual mind treatment work, our affirmative prayer in this teaching that we know, what we're doing is we're not changing the world per se, right? That's not what we're doing in affirmative prayer. What we're doing is we're shifting our ability to see rightly. We're shifting our ability to see the presence of the indestructible behind the appearance. Right? In the destruction, we see the indestructible. In the exhaustion, we see the inexhaustible. Right? That is what we do when we pray. We are shifting our attention, our focus. We are seeing rightly. That is what we do in affirmative prayer. It's not, we're not moving things on the chessboard. That's not what it is. We have to change our consciousness first, and then the world around us changes, right? Then the world around us changes. So there was a quote I had by that I wanted to share. As I think I said this before, Ernest Holmes says self-healing must come first of all, right? We got to heal ourselves first of all, and then we can set the world aright. right? We got to heal ourselves first of all. Then we have a community that's healed, and our community can be a place where individuals heal, and collectively we're healing, and then we're a space and a place for healing in the world. But it starts with us as individuals. Right, with us being prayed up, doing our spiritual work. This beautiful class that is going to be taught by Lena, taking classes. Every class you can get your hand on. You can take classes for free. There's no excuse. There's classes you can take now on the internet, on YouTube, on all kinds of places for free. So you can do the things you need to do to get yourself powered up. Seeing a practitioner. Many practitioners will see you for free or for a reduced fee. Or for their full fee, right? But seeing a practitioner, or do you need a therapist, right? Or both, right? So these are the things we do to get powered up and disengage from the things of this world. Because where we put our time and attention, where we put most of our time and attention, that's what we really worship, right? That's what we really worship. The place we put our time and attention over and over and over again, that's what we really worship. So, ask yourself, where am I really engaged? What am I really worshiping? And again, not from a place of blaming or shaming or guilting. It's just, this is 100% radical responsibility, right? If your life is not out picturing the way you want, you've got to start looking at, what am I worshiping? What false idols am I worshiping? What false gods am I worshiping? It could be the God called Facebook. It could be the God called Twitter. It could be the God called Ben and Jerry's, right? Whatever, right? You have to think, I'm speaking to myself, it's like, you have to look at, where am I spending my time? Where am I investing my energy? What am I really worshiping? Because that's the outcome that's going to happen. That is, as night follows day, that is what it is. That's how the law works, right? So, the last thing I want to talk about is, as we have really taken radical responsibility and getting out of kingdom one into at least kingdom two, where we are now co-creating, right? Kingdom two, where we're really aware of our power to co-create. And then, the next thing is now you're at a point of being able to envision a new future that's based on a higher level consciousness. That's based on a higher level consciousness. So many times what happens is, when we want to rise up from something, we rise up and create the same thing again. Has that happened to anybody? We rise up, we create the same thing again. And it's because you're creating from the same level of consciousness. And so you're just creating the same result. And if you don't do the work I just said in the previous, in the previous few minutes, if you don't do that work, you're just creating from the same thing over and over and over again. It may take a little longer. The players in that particular play are different. They look different, right? Same characters, different names, right? Different costumes, but same thing happening. So if you want to envision and really manifest a new future, it is so important to really remember. Ernest Holmes says, because we fail to realize that principle is not bound by precedent, we limit our faith to that which has already been accomplished, and few miracles will result. When through intuition, faith finds its proper place under divine law, there are no limitations. And what are called miraculous results will follow, right? And so what he's saying is, so frequently we forget that principle, capital P principle, first cause, God, the indestructible, the unbelievable, right? Right, the inexhaustible, the all creator, the all intelligent. We forget that is not bound by precedent. It remakes anew in every moment. It is not bound by precedent. It's not bound by anything. But we as human beings, we have a limited view. We have a limited, we're limited to what we've already experienced. We're limited to what we've already seen or known. Even if we haven't experienced it, if we've seen it, we're limited to that. That's all we know. But in the Father's house, there are many mansions. There are many mansions. There are unlimited mansions. There's infinite levels of consciousness. There's infinite dimensions. There's infinite things. And so what we have to do is be so in first cause, so in that divine presence, so aligned with that as we're envisioning what's new, that it births itself as something new through our experience, right? It births itself as the new thing through us, through our skills, through our vision, through our tools, through our community, through our personalities, through our quirks, right? It bursts itself into something completely new that's never been seen before, completely new that you have never experienced before. But it takes having faith, right? And so frequently what happens is we want to hold on to what we know. We want to, so even now as you, as a community and as individuals, as you're looking at, okay, what's next? What's next can't be built on what happened in the past. If it is, you'll have the same result. That's law. That's not personal to anyone. It's not it's just law. The law is impersonal. And so if you want a new result, there has to be a new consciousness, a new way that's rooted in spirit that will bring forward something new that can work through all of the individual expressions that exist, right? And so, one way that you do that is through your visioning work. It's through the visioning work that you do, where you're opening yourself up and and allowing spirit to show you its idea of what your new life is, or what your new job is, or what your ministry is, or what your center is, right? So that's the first thing, is that you got what is God's intention? What is God's idea? Because there is an idea that already exists. Now, we have free will as humans. We can choose not to follow it. We can choose to shortcut it. We can choose to, do a little bit of visioning, then let our ego get in the way and then do what we want to do. And then, same thing, same cycles, same patterns, same things keep happening, right? And we can also choose to really settle into that all-knowing, that divine intelligence that is everywhere and that knows every detail of how something needs to happen. Settling into that is how you begin to birth that new future. A companion to visioning is also visualizing, right? Visualizing is different than visioning. Visualizing is drawing from the known, right? The stuff that we know, and holding a picture of what we want, holding a higher picture, holding a higher vibration. And there's nothing wrong with that. These are companions. These are companions. So sometimes we have to start where we are. Sometimes we start with, what? I want to be in a community that's like this, or I want to have a life that's like this. And so I'm just going to hold that what I see myself, how I see myself and who's around me and how I feel. And I'm just going to hold that, and I'm going to have that image, and I'm going to hold that image in my mind until it becomes my consciousness. It becomes real, right? That is also a very valid way to move into your new future. It's one of the rules of improv, if you've ever done improv, is that you always say yes and, right? And it's the same thing here. It's like yes and, right? There's visioning, and there's visualization, and there's other things, but you want to act and move from the highest consciousness that is going to move you, which is visioning, right? So the thing I want to say is that, so frequently people don't like visioning because it feels like nothing's happening and they want to do something, right? So then they vision a little bit, then they start doing something. And absolutely, you should swing into action. You should go from inspiration to action. This is not about sitting on a mountaintop forever, not doing anything. But here's the thing: God is not static. God is not static. God is, look around at how spirit is expressing, rising up over and over and over again, rebirth over and over and over again. Just the seasons. When we look at nature, when we look all around us, spirit is not static. So spending time in that space of what is God's idea does not imply that you're going to be static. It is allowing spirit to move forward and to take shape and form and to inform your next steps, to guide your next steps, to activate divine synchronicity, so that you need this, here it is. Oh, you need this person, here it is. Oh, you need this next connection, the next step, here it is. It's a process of faith where as you step out, the ground moves up to meet you. As you step out, the ground comes up to meet you. So that you're continually moving forward. You're continually, in our aerodynamic terms, you have thrust, right? You have thrust. You are moving forward. And because it's divinely inspired, you have lift. You are lifted up. You are lifted up. And so that is how we rise. That is how we rise. And it does not happen instantaneously. It does not happen. Sometimes we have those moments of enlightenment. Sometimes we have those, but typically this is a process that takes time. Ernest Holmes says we do not change all of the patterns of our thought in a moment. No, rather it takes place little by little until gradually the old thought patterns become transformed into new ones. And by some inner alchemy of the mind, the operation of which we do not see, but the manifestation of which we do experience, right? It takes time for this to happen, little by little by little, increment by increment by increment, step by step by step, and then poof, manifestation. And it looks like a miracle. And it's like, no, actually, on multiple dimensions and all kinds of ways and spaces that we know not of, this has been happening because we set it in motion by our planting ourselves in the true power of our nature. And so, in moving from that place, thinking from that place, planning from that place, speaking from that place, versus the places of trying to go back, right? I'm trying to hold on to what happened in the past. I'm trying to hold on to what's known. Right? I'm weighted down by the stuff of the past. Those are the things that keep us right where we are, or recreating the same thing over and over. And so what we are doing is we are anchoring in truth. We are taking full responsibility for what's in front of us. We are anchoring in that power that is greater than us, but that also lives in us and moves through us and is responsive to us and loves us. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And that's exactly how we are rising stronger. That is exactly how we do it. This is so exciting. It is an exciting time for us individually as we navigate this new normal and this age of disruption that is here, and it's going to be here for a minute. So, get yourself powered up. And it's so exciting for CLF because anything is possible. Everything is possible if you are open to the greatest vision, the grandest vision, the biggest vision God has. So exciting. So with that, let's turn within. Oh, I'm so grateful to speak the word this morning. I am so grateful to speak the word this morning. So grateful to recognize that presence of God, the presence of God, the palpable presence of pure spirit that is everywhere, that is inexhaustible, that is indestructible, that cannot be touched, cannot be altered, cannot be changed. That power, that presence that is supreme, that is what it is. And so I speak the word this morning, knowing that I am made from that. I am a unique emanation of that one power, that one presence, that one that is what it is. And so I speak the word in complete and total authority this morning as I claim that this life is good and very good, no matter the appearance. I claim a blessing for each and every person in the sound of my voice, and anyone needing this word. I claim and know that the life of God, the love of God, the power of God, the grace of God is moving through each one. I claim a physical healing for each one, knowing that right at the core of their being, in every cell, every organ, every tissue, every action, every function and system of their body, temple is whole, perfect, and complete. I claim it right here, right now. Speaking a special word for Sharon Judith in this moment, knowing that right where she is, God is. And anyone in this community needing a physical healing, I speak the word of healing and wholeness and health in their body temples. I speak a word of magnificent abundance and magnificent harmony in the body of affairs, speaking a word of prosperity for each and every one, knowing that the unending prosperity, the overflowing prosperity, the infinite prosperity that is expressing right now in the life of each and every individual, as beautiful relationships unfolding, as healed relationships, as mended hearts, as comfort, as joy, that this beautiful abundance is in prosperity is unfolding, as money, as easily and effortlessly money circulating, money magnetizing, blessing the bank accounts, blessing divine right livelihood, blessing all aspects of life. Oh, this is a mighty, powerful time right here, right now. And I know that each individual is powered up, making the choices, making the lifestyle changes, making the decision with the free will implanted in each one, choosing life, choosing to rise, choosing health, choosing vitality, choosing practicing the spiritual practices that we know. This is what I claim for each one, a magnificent unfolding. And I know that we rise and 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 we rise. This is the truth. I am so grateful for this word. So grateful for this word. I speak a special word for Reverend Dr. Sherry this morning, knowing that she is held, guarded, guided, protected, and directed in all ways as she takes this day off. And I speak a word for the entire staff and the ecclesiastical team and everyone affiliated with CLF, the congregants, everyone. This word is spoken, covering each and every one. This is the truth that has been established. I am so grateful, so thankful for this truth, so thankful for this word. So thankful for this new day. So thankful for the rising and the unfolding, the magnificence that is to come. So excited and so grateful. And so I know this word is complete. It is done. And so I release it absolutely unto the law. And we just say together, and so it is. And so it is. Amen.